Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space. Hope you enjoy. We outsourced everything to the humans, written by JCB 112. A fleet was assembled above the human colony of Alpha Centauri Prime. A fleet consisting of the combined powers of the Kingdom of Evite and the Empire of the Independent Colonial Systems. Together, they accounted for over half of the galaxy's total territorial claims, and together, they maintained a standing military that dwarfed humanity's minuscule defense force. This wasn't just an invasion. It was a message to be sent to the ruling senates, congresses, and corrupt representatives of both powers. Their militaries would listen to them no more. So, while an internal coup was underway, so too would half of their combined fleets be acting to claim this quick and easy victory against a third-party independent power. It had been over a millennium since either of their powers had expanded their borders, had cleaned up house, and this was going to good as time as any to do so. It was funny, really. The humans didn't even put up a fight as they entered the system uncontested. As the Grand Fleet parked above their precious second home, a symbol of Earth's power beyond their home system. This was a war that would bring Earth, Sol, and their meddlesome ambitions to rest. Both powers had sent their demands to Earth hours prior to arriving, and received a simple response. You have violated sovereign space recognized by the Galactic Union. Leave now, or you will be met with deadly force and fines for these infractions. This is a legally binding affidavit from the United Nations of Earth. They would send the same demands as they hovered above this Ecumenopolis. The message, this time, was different. By Vet and the Imperial Colonial Fleets, we are willing to forgive these transgressions, provided you pay fines damaging to the grand total of 3,791,190.192 credits in unregistered and unauthorized entry fees into territories and spaces recognized as sovereign human territory. For every second that you remain, the amount shall be compounded by, but not limited to, the following. 1. The number of ships present in your fleet. 2. The tonnage and type of ships present in your fleet. 3. The distinction of military, civilian, and civil registration of the ships constituting your fleet. 4. The total number of crew and personnel in said fleet. 5. The type of engine and propulsion system utilized by the ships constituting your fleet. 6. The disruption of the commercial, civilian, and general spaceborne traffic of Alpha Centauri and Alpha Centauri Prime. 7. Any civil complaints and suits of damages made by your presence in the system to their livelihoods, business, or inconvenience and disruption to the daily living. Please reply post-haste. The consequences of non-compliance shall be catastrophic for both of our parties. You have 100 seconds to comply. The tension in the control room, the bridges, the tactical conference tables was suddenly broken by unbridled laughter of the general staff leading this operation. So ridiculous was the human correspondence that not a single soul had even bothered to reply to the message. The timer soon ran out, as the message was automatically received as a plain denial of the offer. There had to be wiped, noses had to be blown, and of course, a stern face had to be put on as the soldiers of the landing parties were addressed. On one of the bridges of these ships, on the flagship of the Yvette Kingdom, an admiral would take to the proverbial stage, addressing his soldiers via the ship's PA system. Soldiers, today will be a day of glory and salvation for you all. Today, we test our metal, grind our claws against the soft underbelly of humanity. These fagless, clawless, limp, and soft bipeds shall be brought into the fold. Dear people, brought to see the strength of the kingdom. The soldiers would cheer, roaring at the announcement as the PA system would suddenly cut out entirely. What is the meaning of this? Proclaimed Admiral Larian. An Yvette, a species of bipedal, heavily furred mammalian standing a good 2 times taller than the average human. His muscle mass spoke to his superior physical prowess as it strained against his combat skin. Sorry, sir. We just got word from Gavaran Technologies has cancelled our contract for that particular subsystem.
Excuse me?
Yes, sir, the Senate subcontracted Govern Technologies for our PA system 10 or so cycles ago. There's a clause for immediate contract termination where all of their proprietary technologies would be inaccessible until the contract is renewed or renegotiated.
That's absurd.
That's just the way the outsourcing works, sir.
Contact Govern Technologies, find out why they are doing this in the middle of a fecking invasion, and get them to negotiate table, or I will have them
Sir, we've lost all senses. Another ensign spoke up.
What? That's impossible. Human warfare? Ensign, check.
No, sir. It's in the middle of a forced update.
A forced update?
Yes, sir.
Let me guess. Govern Technologies.
No, sir. Our proprietary OS is outsourced to Rillian Defense Solutions.
Well, get me Rillian Defense Solutions and figure out why our sensors are...
Sir, we've lost all our targeting systems. Another panicked voice emerged, this time from the section commander.
What the hell do you mean, lost it?
Lyrian practically roared out, giving the commander pause before answering as he rechecked his findings. The system locked us out, sir. It says something about a contact violation under the section 378-3200-2C1A825. It says we violated something or the other, and that grounds for immediate suspension of the contract and all proprietary technologies operated by it. It was at this point that the Admiral would attempt to reconvene with the rest of the fleet commanders, activating his communications console, finding out that it, as well, has refused to respond to commands.
Comms! If you tell me we lost fleet-wide communications because of some fecking squirreled-in clause in some unknown contract by some unknown fecking third party, I swear I will...
No, sir.
Then what exactly is the problem?
Fleet-wide comms and subspace comms are all handled by our state-owned industries, the Royal Communications Companies. It's unaffected.
Okay. So what the hell is the issue?
It's the interface, sir. We outsource the control panels and interfaces systems to Viridin Multimedia Services, sir.
And let me guess, the contract is somehow terminated immediately due to some unknown violation?
Yes, sir. The Admiral would look back to see the rest of the invasion fleet still hovering above Alpha Centauri. Their weapons, their systems, everything that mattered just dead in the water. The power of the kingdom and empire, their swords sheathed and incapable of being drawn.
What happened? Was it the Senate's doing? Did they somehow manage to coordinate this massive move, puppeting all of these independent companies too?
Another message was quickly received, one that seemed to automatically open itself, revealing its sender as a holographic display of a weak, elderly human.
It's over, Admiral. Your coup is over. Your fellow conspirators back home fail. Your nation's leadership is demanding your presence back post-haste. You've been cleared to leave. A payment plan has been agreed upon by your governments and my own. You have 20 minutes before we recognize your presence as a second, distinct violation of our territorial sovereignty, and additional fines shall be issued.
There was a small pause, followed by a sly smile by the human representative.
Should you be unable to leave on your own power due to one reason or another, we shall be forced, under Galactic Union conventions on the jurisdiction of non-spaceworthy vessels in recognized sovereign territories, to choose one of two options. 1. The immediate impounding of your vessels for an unspecified duration of time, whereby we take the responsibilities of sending your passengers and crew back to your respective worlds of choice in a safe and dignified manner. 2. The slow and gradual process of towing each and every one of your vessels out into the international space, whereby an FTL tug of the nation in question, us, will provide transport of your ships in a safe and dignified manner back to your worlds of registry. A fine will be issued to the port of registry or the government of origin in case of military vessels, for the overall cost of this operation. There was a pause as the Admiral weighed his decisions. Being tugged back into spaceports of registry would mean immediate execution of him and the rest of his mutineering crew upon arrival. Impounding his vessels would leave him and his crew marooned in a port of his choosing, perhaps far, far away from the vindictive Senate forces. But that would mean that his ships, the top-of-the-line, highly advanced vessels of war, would be given to a hostile power. It was self-preservation or death. He chose the former. "All right, Admiral. We will begin the process shortly." "Wait!" the Admiral quickly interjected, eliciting the human's attention just before he terminated the communique. How did you manage this? Surely this wasn't just a collection of isolated incidents. Surely humans have some sort of e-warfare suite, some form of espionage, some form of— "Admiral, for thousands of years now, humanity has remained neutral. For thousands of years, we have been the galaxy's most reliable and stable hub for outsourced services and technologies. For thousands of years, not a single admiral, general, politician, or civil servant vying for your civil wars or the throne has touched us because of this exact scenario." The human, with an exasperated look, shook his head. "Surely you must have known that all of these third-party brands and companies must have been owned and managed by someone. Surely you must have done some homework on this. If it weren't for the entire embarrassing debacle and your intent to harm my people, I would feel genuinely sorry for you, Admiral. People like you belong in a bygone era of solitary polities fighting in a vacuum. The modern battlefield is one peppered with walls that don't involve how many bullets you have, or how many ships you own, or how large of a sword you can swing. It's as much the web of technologies and their associated suppliers required to launch a missile as it is about the missile itself. If that is all, I shall take my leave. Goodbye, Admiral. And thank you for choosing Altani Virtual Connectivity Solutions for your call." End of story. I just quickly want to thank the Tier 5 patrons and channel members: Alithia Barkey, Cam Maxwell, Casper Arnholtz, Albarden Guster, Arcadian, Lord Azrakal, and Joachim Backer.